Welcome to this week's lesson segment on Weekly Outdoor Plus, brought to you by Barbershop, 2400 Church Street, Stevens Point, where they have the most wide variety of vacuums, sewing machines, and parts you can need, and great service to go along with it. So get your notebooks and pencils out, because it's time for your lesson segment with myself, Jase Hintz, and Weekly Outdoor Plus. Welcome to this week's lesson segment on Weekly Outdoor Plus. Jase Hintz here again with you. I'm going to be going over the different styles of rests that we have in options, and what the benefits and which ones will help you actually truly shoot a little bit better or make your flaws not quite as big, and also the ins and outs on why they're going to be good for you in your stand and why they're not going to be good for you in your stand. The first thing I'm going to start with is the drop-away rest, because that's the newest, that's the most up-to-date, that's what everybody's kind of going to. There's a lot of different options out there, from different G5s to downforces to limb drivers to Cobra rests. I mean, there's literally hundreds of thousands that you can go with, but the ones we're going to talk about today is just the two main differences between the lower end and the higher end ones. The big thing that the difference is on the higher end ones are highly recommended on fast bows or newer bows, for the fact that they're backwards technology. And when I say that, I'm talking about how the string is connected to the cable itself. But as you can see on this one, and this is the new technology, the string is tight at all times. It's the difference there is when you pull back, there's a spring that's going to pull up your actual launcher, and the spring's going to lift it up, and when you shoot, the cable's going to pull this string nice and tight again. The idea behind this is, on the old school ones, this is actually limp at all times, and then a spring is holding it down, and then when you shoot, or when you pull back, the string will pull it up. The idea behind this is, when you're shooting a really fast bow, your arrow's leaving so fast that if you have this tight at all times, there's no spring holding it down, so it'll actually go flat down to the shelf and it won't bounce up and down, and it won't hit your arrow a second or third time. And it's actually a proven fact that it does happen on fast bows with slow motion cameras. You can look it up online and stuff, and you can see it a lot, where without the downforce or the Matthews drop away or the limb driver, there's a big problem they have where it's hitting the fletchings again when it bounces up. Where this style here, being held tight by the string does not obviously have a chance of bouncing because it's tight into your cable, where the spring holding it down very easily bounces. It's not a very tough string or spring. But so that's the one big difference between them. A lot of the cheaper ones are going to have like plastic launchers and not as durable setups, like how they're mounted, how the bracket's set up. Little things like that, it's not that big a deal, but the more wear and tear you get on them, the easier they're going to break. The plastic does have a little effect when you get it too hot and too cold. So those are little things that you're definitely going to want to think about when you're debating, do I spend $75 or do I go with 120? Because I mean, that little thing is something, these newer ones, you're going to be able to transfer over on your bows for a long time. That's what they're made for, is, the new technology. Where the older ones have been around forever, but they just got upgraded finally. Not saying the older ones are bad at all. I still shoot some of those too, but I mean, as long as you have them set up correctly, and we'll be going over how to correctly set them up and everything later in the show here. But next we're going to be talking about different launchers, where they have just like the fixed launchers. The big thing they have right now is they have lizard tongues, which are skinnier, mostly made just for target shooting. Those are actually act like a drop away because they're flexible enough for when you shoot, the force of your arrow pushes them out of the way, and it'll rise up off of the rest. Those are very, very highly recommended for pretty much all target shooters now. Shoot those. Nothing that, a lot less that can go wrong. I shouldn't say nothing, but Trophy Taker makes them. Very, very simple setups that are very durable, extremely durable. A lot of arrows can be put through them, obviously, won't be breaking down on you. Where otherwise you always have, like the classic prong rest. Those are nice for hunting in the fact that, again, you can quiet them down really easily. Put easy little slide over nipples, and they are actually made of like fur, really quiet and everything. The only downfall with those is they're supposed to work just like a drop away basically, and just like the lizard tongue, where they're supposed to drop out of the way, but they're not very micro adjustable, so it's hard to get them set up correctly like that. Very few brands actually do have meters on the side, where when you shoot, the little tiny finger will shoot down and it'll tell you how far off you are. If you can't find one with that, it is very hard to get it, but I mean, you can set it up correctly and it will work at times. The last one I'm going to talk about is a whisker biscuit. Very good for beginners. A lot of people love shooting them just because it's full containment, not a lot can go wrong. But I mean, you can get dropaways that are full containment, and they're just as good, and in my opinion, a lot better. The only thing I don't really like about whisker biscuits also is the fact that there is noise, because there's so much more friction completely around your arrow. A lot of people think they're the quietest thing out there, but if you're in a dead quiet room, like when you're hunting sometimes out in the middle of the woods all by yourself in nature, you're going to hear the actual arrow grind across there. So
that's one thing I would think about when you're deciding what you're picking. But starting out and everything, they're not bad to go with either. You know, a lot of setups come with them. Like I said, foolproof for when you're learning, you know, form and everything. It's a good idea. But highly, in my opinion, if I had to pick a rest right now, I'd go with either a trophy taker or I would go with the limb driver, just for the durability, the warranties, and how truly good they are. But that's all I got for you guys this week. Tune in next week. We're going to be talking a lot about how to actually tune your rest, how to walk back tune it. That's the most in-depth tuning that I've ever accomplished, and I think it works really well. We'll also compare it to paper tuning, because I know a lot of people believe in that. And I'll also teach you how to visually, you can just look at your bow and know if you're at least close or not. So when you're presetting it up, or you know, if you're in the woods and you realize something's wrong, I can tell you how to do it just by looking at it, and you'll be able to line certain things up with certain bows and make sure that it'll be good enough to shoot and you'll be killing what you're aiming at. So tune in next week. Be more than happy to tell you guys about that. And don't forget, check out your rest, make sure everything's good with it, and always think about, you know, changing something else. And if you ever do, that's one thing that definitely will help you out in the long run. So we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.